Hi everyone, I'm Ruchika Bindra, host and journalist. Growing up, I always searched for faces like mine for inspiration. While there were some phenomenal Desi women doing some amazing things, their stories weren't at the forefront. I needed to see more of us being celebrated and represented in all facets of life. From a global influencer to a fashion stylist, I bring you some of the most inspiring Desi women nationally and internationally. Welcome to Tell Me More with Ru. Ever wondered what it takes to do something different? My guest today is a successful fashion stylist. She's dressed numerous celebrities like Lily Singh, Humble the Poet, and Nabila, just to name a few. Pretty cool, right? This week's Inspiring Desi Babe is Sandy Lyon. Hi Sandy, welcome to Tell Me More with Ru. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You're all cozy?
Yes, I'm cozy in my home.
Yeah, I love it. What does your sweater say? I'm trying to read it. Hip hop is
my high school sweetheart.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Sandy, what an introduction. I mean, stylist, influencer, but I love actually calling you just as a teacher because I think you do that in all aspects of your life. And, you know, you've styled some phenomenal people. We have Nabila, we have, Superwoman, like it's just your list, Humble the Poet. It's been great. And it's great to see that you're working with other inspiring South Asians. And I love that collaboration. I think we need to do that more. Brown people need to big each other up more, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. So let's get a little bit into your journey because the whole point is I want to highlight people in different careers so that we're all not growing up thinking, okay, only being a doctor, engineer, lawyer is the only idea of success. You know, we've all had that and different careers, reporters, stylists, cooks. There's just so much actors. There's so many other great careers. And a lot of people want to know what it's like to be in them. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did Sandy Lyon come to be?
So Sandy Lyon, I feel like was always a part of me and my identity, but it came to be more when I figured out, like, finished school, started a job as a teacher, and then that's when I was like, okay, what can I do that's my passion, and what more can I do that's more fulfilling and like really my passion?
Yeah.
And that was fashion. And I so I never started in this field. I have no formal training in this field. It's just something that I've always loved and always grew up around. And just like through the years, I just created my Instagram. And then from that, while I was teaching, I just step by step tried to make it into a business and tried to create something that would be of value to other people along the journey.
And how well you've done. And when did you realize you like fashion? Like, teaching, in a way, you are still teaching us because you're teaching different ways to style garments and you're teaching looks and falling in love with your personality and bringing it out. But from being an actual educator, right, in the school system, were you like, okay, I think I have a thing for fashion. I have a flair. Was it that you were cutting out magazines? Like, where did you come up with it?
So I always had, like, that was always the recognizable feature of me. Like, even between my friend circle, like everywhere I went, I was always the girl that would show up like dressed to the nines, like every time. So that was just part of my identity. And I grew up around that as well. My family's really into fashion. My dad, just everyone that I'm around, not like high fashion or anything in particular, but just like, taking time and putting effort into dressing yourself, and creating something new every day. Exactly. So that's something I always grew up around. But when I, around the same time that I got my teaching job and I graduated from school and everything, that's when Instagram had just started. So my friends kind of convinced me to use that platform to do something more of a passion project. Now that I had the degrees on the wall, I had my job, everything was good, I was secure, and that's when I was pushed to really explore my passion, and I did. And it like I said before, like it literally just turned into what it is, just through consistency and just being creative on the way.
Was it tough? Did you ever, before, you start putting yourself out there as creative people, when you have an idea, it's yours. But when you put it out there, now it's open for criticism, support, you've let a part of you out. So when you started styling and creating, your videos and stuff, were you like, oh my God, are people going to laugh at me? Are they going to think this is ridiculous? Because I think a lot of South Asian girls have this insecurity, right? That they're going to be judged, and is what I'm doing good? Can it be better? We're hard on ourselves.
I think for me, when I started, the community was really small, like the Instagram community. And I didn't really go and do it with the intention of it being anything bigger than me just sharing my fashion tips with my friends.
Yeah.
So I think because it just grew that way, it was always me being myself and me sharing my ideas. And then slowly it became something bigger. And rather than me feeling a ways about me sharing myself online, I think I felt more a ways eventually when it became like expected, or like sometimes when, of course, when money gets involved, your passion turns into a job, and it's that comes with different insecurities, different overthinking, like everything just kind of changes at that point, and it's up to you to continue to stay on the path that you're on. So I wouldn't necessarily say difficult, but there's been challenges on the way that I've been just going through.
Yeah. And if people want to, and young girls especially, if they want to become stylists, it's different, because if you're brown and if you're Indian and you're in India, there are styling jobs, but it's very like, you need to be working for a celebrity, you're part of an entourage, you're on set for production companies and you're styling. Here, it's a little bit different. There's no set way. You're not going to become a stylist and only work on television. You're not going to become a stylist and only work for private clients. So what advice can you give girls that are Canadian, South Asians, and they want to break into this field? How do they start?
So the biggest, there's several things that you can do, but I think the first one is to really embody that. Like, you have to be creative with fashion every single day. You have to be that person that's really doing it from inside and practicing your craft every single day.
Yeah.
You're not putting in the time daily, you're not going to get anywhere. So I know that sounds super simple and like, oh, that's stupid advice. Like, I'm literally just telling you to do it every day. But that's, for me, that's been the biggest piece of advice, but also the biggest reminder every day. Like, when we think of anybody in any field, whether it's Beyonce, anybody, like Bill Gates, like any person that you look up to in any way, they have been putting in the hours daily.
Yep.
And those hours add up, and your work is reflected in that. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning. Like, no matter if I'm not doing any print work or any styling work right now, if I'm still refining and like working on my craft if I'm practicing it every day.
Yeah. And I think that's such a good piece of advice. It's simple, but it means a lot. You need to put in the time.
Yeah. And just like in any field, like, it gets tiring sometimes. And that's always going to be the one thing that you just have to remind yourself, like, I have to put the hours in every day. And that's what's going to get me that next gig, or that's what's going to get me, that next job or what have you.
Yeah. And then when your journey started, you started getting all this popularity on Instagram. People loved your styling videos. When did you start taking it to the next level where, okay, I'm going to start traveling now. I'm going to start, styling people in mainstream Hollywood. I'm going to work into that business. Was that a goal that you kind of developed on the way, or they're just sort of people over the years through networking that you're like, okay, you want me to style you in here?
I think it was definitely a bit of both. Like, for me, it was, I was always, I would say, like, taking it to the next level with whatever field I was in, like whether it was, creating content online or teaching or like styling people. Like, I was always working to get that next gig, whether I was in Toronto or anywhere else. But I did find that about 3 years ago, I felt like I outgrew I outgrew the industry. I outgrew what my goals were in Toronto, and I achieved them all, and I was happy. And that's when I decided, okay, now I got to start back from zero and I have to shake things up. And that's when I moved to New York.
And when you moved to New York, you took a break from teaching, right? or were you?
Yeah, like I took a break, but I'm an occasional teacher, so I can kind of like I can do whatever, but I can take a contract whenever I want as well. So it's a very flexible, it's a flexible job, but then you also remaining on contract means you'll never be permanent.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
pros and cons, basically.
Yeah, so I always like to describe teaching as like my side hustle
Yeah,
because at the point it is, but yeah, like it's my side gig.
yeah, yeah. And what was New York like for you? Unknown city in terms of what the people are going to be like. Brand new market to capture. Were you there and you're like, okay, I've made it. I got my bags. I'm in the room, but like, shit, how am I going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, New York was always that place for me. I went almost every year since I was about 20. So I knew that New York was where I needed to be. A lot of my networks, a lot of my people are just there, and I just knew that that's where like my heart was in a weird way. Um, and when I got there, it was scary, but it wasn't scary for the reasons of like, oh my God, where am I? Here I am. Like, what do I do? Because New York is not that.
Yeah.
You step into New York and everybody is welcoming you with open arms. But for me, it was more being by myself, being completely alone, starting from scratch, and just figuring out what am I doing tomorrow? Like leaving the security of my job, leaving the security of living with my parents and all of that. I think those were some of the more things that I found challenging, just being alone and being with myself, because
Yeah.
not a lot of people do that. And yeah, so it's that, and then while I was doing that, getting into the right rooms, meeting the right people, making those relationships, I think is the easier part if you're doing it in New York, because it is so welcoming. You just have to have the drive.
Yeah. That's great advice. No, I really appreciate that. I think a lot of girls are now going to be like, New York is our spot to go and, explore.
New York is.
And so then, Sandy, what goes from there? You start working with people like Nabila. You've worked a lot with Humble the Poet. You've worked with, oh my God, Superwoman. Like the list is long. How does that come to be? And what's it like working with different clients? Because people can be picky. Like as a stylist, you're probably like, okay, this is the look. I'm coming up with a mood board. We're going to do this for you. And then you show up and the person's like, How do you work with kind of what you think would actually look good on them versus with what they want to wear because maybe they're comfortable or they're not used to color?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it works like it's been different in every scenario. Like a lot of the clients that I've gotten through Instagram. Like literally everybody slid into my DMs, other than Lily and Humble because they were my friends. But everybody else slid into my DMs, and it was basically like, "Hey, we like your work." So that was already like, okay, so they like how I dress people. Let's work together. So and in every situation, like no matter if my client's a celebrity, I'm dressing for a red carpet, or they're like a nurse who just wants help with her wardrobe so that she can dress nice when she doesn't have to wear scrubs. I like to get to know the person. So just like genuinely spend time with them and get to know them, ask them questions about what do they want to feel when they're wearing clothes, and what do they want to feel when they walk into a room, or like, whatever scenario it is that pertains to their life. Like I just try to ask those kind of questions to get to know them better, and then I'll pick items based on that. And again, like with everything, it'll be different. Like whether I'm redoing your wardrobe or whether I'm dressing you for the Emmys, like we try to, a lot of the time as well, like it's very last minute.
Yeah.
So in the entertainment world, everything is last minute. So I figure out like, okay, this is what you want to wear. What's the vibe you're going for? Like, you want to look sexy, you want to look cute, you want to look like Andre 3000. Like, what are we going for? So we do all of that, and then I pull all the different looks. A lot of the time I do custom because that's just my best way of expressing. Like like the Sandy suit or anything like that. I like to do custom stuff for people that sends a message.
I love that. I love that about the work you do when you style them, and you can see it's different, which is nice.
Yeah, it's all about like a message and like what is it that you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's next for you? Are you thinking of continuing to grow in Hollywood? Are you planning on launching something? Are you just in the pandemic enjoying life on a little bit of a calmness?
I wish. I'd like to think that I'm doing that. I am spending a lot more time just with myself and doing things that I want to do. Like whether that means just sit at home and hang out with my dog, or hang out with my nephews and nieces and plan surprise like sleepovers or whatever. That I'm spending a lot of time doing that kind of stuff, just taking care of me. And aside from that, I am working on a bunch of drops. So like, yeah, lots of different things. Yeah. Yeah.
Another important question that I know a lot of South Asian girls probably are thinking and they wanted to ask you is, styling is not the typical job that, you have this idea your Desi parents are going to be like, great selection, beta. Okay, you want to be a stylist.
Yeah.
You have that struggle a little bit, or were your parents a little bit more understanding about it? Did you feel like, oh, you're, meeting aunties and they're like, wait, what do you do, beta? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, did you have a bit of that judgment around you, or you never felt that?
I think I can't say that I didn't feel it, but I did not feel it from my family. But I will say that I might have done things differently that allowed for that level of respect to remain. Like with my parents, they were never like, you got to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. They never put that expectation on us. They were always like, yo, you're number one, you're a girl, you're a woman, so you do whatever the F you want to do. Just do it, like do it, put your heart into it. But they were also just like we're not going to say go to school, but we recommend you to go to university, college, get a job so that you can sustain yourself. And my parents always just like, they were not able to pay for university and college for everybody. And also, dealing with immigration and coming to Canada, it was just not a realistic, like a reality in my life. So from the jump, they were like, you need to get a job.
Yeah.
So go to school, work, like those are the things that you have to do. And so they were never insistent on what I do. They were just insistent, like, these are the responsible steps that you have to take to be an adult and do those. So yeah, adulting happened very young. And so that's why like I became the teacher. I had my steady job. I was, taking care of myself and taking care of them and taking care of everything before I started my fashion stuff. So I don't think I really left room for people to be like, what is she doing? But in the same way, I think that was important.
Yeah.
I think it was important for me to be stable and have that paycheck coming in, and so that I could explore and I could do what I'm doing now. Yeah, so but now they're super supportive. They don't question anything. They're like honestly my number one cheerleaders, like my parents. Yeah.
It reminds me, I think you posted something when your Nike campaign came out. I think, was it your dad or somebody walking with you? And I saw that and my heart melted because I was like, I saw the genuine smile on their faces. And I was like, that must be so amazing for them. A lot of people have been talking on the show in different weeks. They're always like, there's not enough South Asian representation in mainstream media. We don't see it. Like growing up, I didn't see it. There weren't a lot of hosts. There weren't a lot of journalists. Now we've got, the Poojas and the Sangeetas, and we've got great people to look up to. But same thing in styling. I think, 10 years from now, if a girl wanted to be a stylist, who would you look up to in our community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I think that's okay. And I think that we, rather than us like feeling sad, it's good to celebrate the fact that we're getting that representation now, and to just make sure that everything we're doing every day is towards that. And like, yes, I didn't grow up with people that look like me in mainstream media, but my niece is growing up seeing me in mainstream media, and I think that's something we're celebrating, and like that's just what we got to keep on that.
Yeah, no, I love it. Okay, Sandy, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with you before we let you go. Okay. I'm gonna warm you up for your weekend so you can enjoy. Okay.
All right.
4 favorite staples that any girl needs to have in her wardrobe for fall.
Boyfriend jeans, a turtleneck sweater, a nice comfy crew neck,
Yes.
and Jordans.
Okay.
I know that might not be every girl style, but Jordans look good on everybody.
Agreed. I think Jordans look cool on them. If you could pick one color that you could always have as a staple in your wardrobe, what would it be? And it cannot be black.
Just for me or for everybody?
For everybody.
Okay, for
I'll let
everybody.
you be like, listen, girls, you need at least one piece on this color. It has to be there.
White.
I love white. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, white, just because it's easy to style. Like, yeah, I'm very easygoing when it comes to like colors and styling. Like, I don't think people have to wear every color.
Yeah, definitely. Chai or coffee in the mornings?
Coffee.
Ooh, a lot of people have been
I'm
saying
a total chai girl, but just in the mornings these days, I need a coffee.
okay.
On the weekends, I'll have my job. I love job.
Yeah, okay. What is your pinch me moment so far in your career? It could be, you know, a certain artist you've got to dress. It could be being at a certain place because of that. It could just be something really that mattered to you that may not seem like, oh my God, it's not a highlight, but a pinch me moment.
Oh, how do I pick one?
This question gets everybody I've been asking. They're like, oh.
There's so many. I'm gonna say the Oscars.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But there's so many.
Yeah. Were you at the red carpet?
No, I dressed Utkarsh Ambedkar, who was on stage wearing a suit, but I wasn't there. No, because they were in LA. The Oscars were in LA, and I was in New York.
That's what I was going to ask you because I saw when you styled and it looked amazing, and I was like, but I thought she's in New York because you had posted.
That all happened like through the internets, like yeah.
See, these are the moments. That's a real pinch me moment, girl. These are the moments that you don't plan and they come and you're like, life is beautiful.
Yep.
And my last question for you, if there's one person you can dress before you retire as a stylist in a million years, you're like, I need to dress this person at least once. Who would it be?
Rihanna.
I can see you doing so good with her. I feel that vibe.
Her and I, like, we just click.
You just click.
Click. We just click, and she just needs to call me one time.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
Rihanna, call her.
I can just take whatever she has going on and take it to a whole other level.
That's awesome. I'm sure that'll happen. Sandy, thank you so much for your chat. You know, I know there's a lot of girls that want to break into the field that you do. We're so proud of you in the South Asian community. Keep killing it. And in spring, I need you to come and help me because all I do is black, white. How do I hide my pot belly? Black, white. How do I hide my pot belly?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I will be more than happy to help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandy. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.